All right, so in that repo, if we scroll down here, or actually we go into assets. So you can either, there's two ways of doing this. So you can either just download the files from the repo and run it as just it's just a Unity project. It's I mean it'll tell you what version I used, but it's Unity 6. Or you can bring in, you can download these two. Well, you really need this one to start. Oh, or no, or the starting scene one to start. This Unity package right here, and just drag that into any fresh project, and that should work as well. I'll give you guys some time to set that up, and I will set things up on my side real quick. So today we're going to be looking at 3 different full screen shader effects that we're going to write in ShaderGraph. So this is going to serve as kind of like a sort of beginner tutorial, and then also I'll give you guys basically just practical things you can use. So in the starting Unity package, there's already some shaders in there that I use for the here, this is what it should look like when you start. There actually might be like some other post-processing stuff going on. I turned it off on my side. I actually don't know what it'll show you guys, but it should be something like this. But this is the scene I used for the like ad thing we did for this jam. So this is just kind of going to be our like template, I guess, like our base plate sort of thing. It's kind of hard to see. Okay, so then can I get like thumbs up if we're ready to just like get into like a new ShaderGraph file and just start? Like, has everybody set up the Unity project, the downloaded the Unity package, whatever you have to do to get to this point? No? Any does anybody need help? What's your problem? Should I go up there? I don't know. Going to, so it's in the announcements for the jam server, right here. It should be public.
It's just a Unity file, right?
It's just a Unity package. Okay, yeah, I guess let me go back. So in the assets, this is just on the GitHub website. In the assets, this is a Unity project. You don't have to download the whole thing though. You can just, if you want to, open your own Unity project and just import, download this file here, this Unity package, starting scene.unity package file, and drag it into your scene. Or you can just clone the whole repository and open it up. But that also depends if you have the proper version. So that's why I added these here. So you can kind of just use it for any version. So that's the first step. So here I'll demonstrate it. So I'm gonna download it. Just press this little download. It says I already have it, but that's fine. So, and we're here. We're gonna go into my files, which is on my other screen, but got it in my files. Literally, just this is the package here. Just drag it into your assets, and then it'll say that. Well, pop up on my other screen, but it'll say that I only have like a few things, but basically you just press all and then you press import down here, but I'm not going to do that. But yeah, you just press import. So yeah, sorry, but we have to do a little bit of setup before we can really get started. Here, I can walk around and help real quick for people. You find somewhere to plug this in, or do you know where to plug this in?
There's one here.
Okay, I'm just gonna see if I can help try and see where people are.
Yeah.
There's a model. not, but I had to go down to whatever I had on the computer.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's still on how automatically convert it.
Yeah, if it converts, like as long as the versions aren't too different. Like if it's just a minor patch version, it's a difference.
It's still 6.
Yeah,
People
it's
say that.
a minor
It's still
patch
6.
version difference, so it should be fine.
Are you guys?
It's in announcements.
And if you guys aren't able to follow around, I'll put all the stuff we do in the thing in the repo, so you'll have that for later. But
Also gonna be the video, right?
yeah, they're also gonna be there. Yeah, people have it going. That's good. Good sign. Yeah,
I know.
who cares about security, right? It's all right.
Is this, did you just take a
Oh yeah, so yeah, just if you import it, it should be so when you made into it like a new project, or is this right? So this new project like a brand new one? Okay, I see. Okay, did you did you use it or did you when you like create all right, like oh you so we're using URP yeah not too confident how to you can that was fast. Yeah you can do it yeah it is URP so should have clarified that like yeah you can mess with like the current shaders that are in there. I'm actually not gonna like touch on those um but you can look at them. I can explain them later.
That's what I was told.
Oh, do you want me to explain those ones?
Yeah, I just want to know the terminology.
We're gonna be going over some shaders, like the ones that aren't there right now. That's just the ones that those are. I mean, those are interesting ones too. That's like a simple cell shading,
Right.
and then there's the hue thing.
Two monitors, Apple PC.
Yeah, they have a lot here. Let's get started in like 3 minutes.
One monitor started as a full monitor. Yeah, I saw it. Like the one second monitor. Random extension. Those are sort of similar. I don't know. Okay. 144 all that. Oh, hey, no. Would you try to remember that more? Okay, sorry, this really helps.
Yeah, yeah. Oh wait.
I opinion that right now like that Canadian market, I wanted to
Yeah, get you.
and also the overlay so stuff I will be
So crispy.
Asian people.
Yeah. You know, take pictures of the whole time.
Some of it is I the first one
Yeah.
I just started for that. So the story we had was actually got
Looks like most people have it set up. What's up? So, the don't click on that. Well, in the one you interacted with that one.
GPT
So,
watch.
okay, sorry.
GPT watch.
Just yeah, sure you are. So, right, so that's not the file. So go into there, into assets, and then it's the one also
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
so
Mostly, I need to get my laptop to assets. Actually, no, there's like color computers here. I can't see them. All of them. But yeah. Got the content that I love. That's so good. I don't even understand like just making some t-shirts. Some t-shirts and some pizza.
all right, we're gonna get moving then. So don't need that. All right, so we're here, right? We have this scene. I'm in game view right now. You'll also notice that if you took it from the Unity package, I added the URP has like this like free cam thing, so you are able to like move in the scene in the game view. So we'll be just looking through game view the whole time probably for reasons later. But all right, so there are shaders for like the you can see kind of here the pots like lighting is like there's a little bit of cell shading going on there, and there's this like hue shift color rainbow thing going on here. Those are cool. You can look at those yourselves, and I can explain them to you later if we have time or if you guys want me to or whatever. I'm gonna go and we're gonna make some full screen shader effects. So those are things that are basically like applied over the whole screen. That's basically all the pixels on the screen are treated as like a texture, and then that's fed into a shader. So the first one we're gonna do is like a CRT TV one. This is gonna be the hardest one we're doing, but it's definitely the coolest. Yeah, what's up?
Yeah, so I do have Unity launched, but I don't know. I don't have that exact thing launched.
Right. So in the announcements of the server, I put a GitHub repo in there.
You mean like, well, yeah, I'm in that. I see all the assets, but what exactly do I have to open?
So in the assets, I'll put it up on the screen again. Oh, I have to. So if you look on the screen, if you go, so this is like the repo here. If you go to assets and then, so you're in your own project. So if you go and download, see the starting scene Unity package. Yeah, so click on that, download it.
I don't think I opened it properly.
Yeah, so if you just click the download raw file, and then you could just from your file system just drag and drop it into your game, into the assets folder. Yes. So right, we're gonna be making like a CRT film screen, and you know what? I'll show you guys what it'll actually look like real quick. Just it's always good to have like sort of a goal in mind. So I have this like demo up here. this is what it's going to kind of look like. So it's probably not the greatest like looking at it here. I'm going to full screen it a little bit. So you see you have these like scan lines. Actually, if I press play, they'll move a little bit better. We have scan lines. We have sort of a vignette. You guys will see that you actually have that. So the black borders, they call that I think it's a vignette or vignette. So they call that a vignette. There's multiple reasons you do it. For us, it's kind of a style choice. So if you guys know what a CRT TV is, you'll kind of understand it. If you don't, Google like an image of a CRT TV. They're known for having basically like each pixel only display one color, and then they're kind of just combined together. But if you're like really close to them, then you'll see all three colors individually. But we're kind of emulating it. We're not actually doing that. So then there's scan lines. There's a bit of a lens bend, I think it's what it's called, something like that. And some bloom. There's some bloom here. And I might be forgetting some other stuff. But it kind of looks like this. So anyways, we'll go back to the thing. Just give me a second here. All right, so first thing we need to do is create a new, it's like really hard for me to see, but all right, so we're gonna create a new shader. So in my shaders folder, I'm just going to okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna create, so we're gonna go right click shaders folder, create, and we're gonna create a ShaderGraph URP full screen ShaderGraph. So this is the whole thing. So create that. We're gonna name it CRT full screen. What's up? You might, is that under, so there might be packages you're missing, but let's see. So if you press, or oops. So create, and then, oh, you found it? Oh, okay. I'm guessing, okay. Cool. All right, so now we have this. So if you double click on it, it'll bring us into, and you can double click on this tab. It'll bring us into the like ShaderGraph node editor. So first thing to notice here, this is kind of just ShaderGraph basics. This is an unlit shader, and it's a full screen shader. So there's no vertex data that we're dealing with because it's basically just like one image, I guess. You can think of it like that, but we're kind of just doing stuff for every pixel on the screen. We're not worried about any object data, vertex data, and nothing like that. And then we have, these are outputs, by the way. So we have this base color output and an alpha, which we won't touch. But so other things to note. What? Food? Pizza? Should we pause? Just come inside. Should we pause? It's up to them. It'll take some time. Like. All right. How about we do the CRT shader first, and then we go eat. All right. Let's do that. I'll be quick, guys. I'll be quick. It's honestly not that much, and some of it's repeated. So all right. So these are our outputs. So so I'm going to define some inputs. So you have this like, what is this called? ShaderGraph. I don't even know what this little tab is called, but these basically is where you can like set inputs here to your program. So we're gonna set some inputs. So we're gonna have a little bit of a blur effect. So we're gonna set one input called blur offset. That's going to kind of, we're gonna offset like each by color, each each pixel, but we'll see how that works later. But it'll just give us a little bit of a blur. Then we're going to be doing stuff with scan lines. So we're going to have something for scan line speed. Then we're going to have something for just like number of scan lines. We'll call it, I'm just going to call it scan lines. So that's going to be the number of scan lines. Note that these are all floats, floating point numbers. And then we want a color. And we're just going to call it color. And actually, well, the color is actually kind of like the bloom color, I guess. But we're just going to call it color. That's fine. All right, so just looking at my little demo here. So okay, so for this CRT kind of effect, remember the CRT TVs, they kind of have like you can kind of, if you get close enough to one, you can see each individual color stream separately. But obviously when you get farther back, you can't see them. They blend together, and that's what gives you the image. But so we kind of want to like emulate that. So what we're going to be doing is offsetting our UVs, our UVs of our screen on each axis, and then assign it to a color, red, green, or red. Actually, we're doing only red and blue. That might not make a lot of sense, but we'll see it in practice real quick. So we're gonna handle the offset first. So first, just drag out the blur offset parameter here. So actually, to start off, we'll see just kind of how we can sample the screen. So we're going to use this URP sample buffer and change this source buffer to blitz source. And don't worry that it's black there. And then, okay, so right now this fragment shader is just outputting nothing basically. So sorry, we're backtracking here a little bit. We're not going to do the blur just yet. We're going to quickly go and see how we actually apply the shader first, just to kind of show you guys what's happening. So quickly, back out of the node editor, we're going to create a material. I might already have a material for it. I don't. So we're going to create a new material. Actually, something you guys can do is right-click on the ShaderGraph file, go to create, and then material, and it just creates a material based on with that shader. So I'm gonna put that materials folder. We're gonna go into game for now, just to see what's going on. So to apply full screen effects in URP, we have to mess with this asset called it should be in your settings. It's called PC renderer in Unity 6. It might be called something different, but it's basically your render asset. And you can define different stuff. For example, there's this post-processing check. Make sure that's enabled. We'll need that. But down here we have render features, and this is something that we can basically add on to the render pipeline a little bit. And there's options here for full screen pass render feature. So if we add a new full screen pass render feature, you'll see the default it actually inverts colors. So we kind of have like an inverted thing here. I don't know why it's like that. If we okay, so we expand it here. We can set the pass material. So let's set that pass material to the CRT full screen material. Now you'll see, oh no, it went away. What happened? That's fine because remember, this is our what our materials is using. We're not passing anything into base color, so it's being set to this color. But if we pass in blit source, we save that. Remember, save it, and we go back to game. Well, we see the same exact thing we used to see. So now we can confirm that we are using the render pass. It's coming after all of our other rendering, but it's but now it's just displaying what we originally had. So that's kind of the first step. And actually, before we touch the shader again, why don't we look at some post-processing? So remember, we want a vignette, a bit of like lens thing, blur, or whatever it's called, and some bloom. So Unity has, you could actually make a shader for this too, and it's actually probably how it's implemented. But Unity has this thing called a volume profile, and you can basically, I don't know if I already have it in here. Actually, I think I do. I think I just turned it off. I can barely see what I'm clicking. I think it's under rendering. So if you guys have the files that I said I gave you guys, this demo volume profile, this you can kind of just add like these pre-built like things. So anyways, we got vignette, so you see kind of like darken the edges. You can play with these values. This is how I set it up. Some bloom, you can see things got brighter in certain areas, and then some lens distortion. You can see it kind of like warps in the middle a little bit. That's just to kind of give us more, so you can even get more intense. It's sort of an ellipse because of the rectangle. My screen is a rectangle right now, but we're just gonna leave that at that for now. Anyways, so those are some easy things you can just kind of slap on there. It's good to go. All right, now let's get into the shader. So we're done with all that. Make sure to save. Now we're in the shader. So we have URP sample buffer. We are sampling. We're sampling our screen, and we're not doing anything to it right now. So the first thing is we kind of want to mess with the UV space of our see how we have this like UV input. You can basically, right now it's just the default one, but you can kind of you can change it. So what we're gonna do is right click, create new node, and type in like tiling. So it should be under UV, tiling, and offset. So now we have this cool node. Again, it has this sort of default UV parameter. Then it has these tiling and offset parameters. So if we pass this in, I'm going to be going back to the scene view a lot. You'll see that nothing changed because we're basically just passing in the same exact thing. We didn't mess with tiling. These are default, and we didn't mess with offset. So tiling is sort of like a scale. You can see how it kind of like it's warping things, and an offset is just an offset. Pretty self-explanatory. So if we want to offset our UVs on the X and Y axis and then kind of like attribute a color to them for the blur, we need to mess with the offset. So that's what we're gonna do. So this blur offset is a strength value, I guess. It's not strength. It's what we're gonna be uniformly offsetting things a little bit. Oh, another cool thing. So in the graph inspector here, I'm gonna pull it out a little bit. You can set default values. So this blur offset, it's gonna be pretty powerful value. So I don't wanna like be able to make the user kind of like do too crazy stuff with it. So we're gonna set a min and a max. So the min is fine. We don't really need negative stuff. We're gonna set the max to like that 0.01. And I set the mode to slider. So in the inspector, it'll be just a little slider. All right, that's that. Oh yeah, yeah. This. Press mode and then go to slider. Yeah, it's just a kind of a user experience type of thing. It doesn't really change the effect of anything. I think it's just up. I think, well, it's already open for me, but should, yeah. Is it just, yeah, anyways, I don't know. All right. So now we're going to be, so we want to change the offset of this. So let's handle the x-axis first. So we're going to create a new vector 2. Boom, fresh vector 2. So we're going to pass this into the x-axis, and we're not going to deal with the y at all. We're going to leave that 0. And then we're going to offset. So based on whatever this is, it'll offset the UV on the x-axis. So right now it's 0. But yeah, so, and that's being passed in here and then here. So, if we quickly just looked at what it's doing, you need to, so be able to change this, you just need to go into the material and then see we have the input parameters here. So you guys can kind of probably guess what's going on here. It's like kind of offsetting things a little bit. So obviously it's not a big amount, but just imagine we did this to all 4 directions. You would kind of just blur things, and it's one kind of a quick and dirty blur filter. All right, so that's the x-axis, positive x-axis, let's say. Now we just want to do this for every other axis. So you can kind of click and drag, and we're going to copy these 3 nodes. So I'm going to copy them on my clipboard, and I'm going to paste them, and it keeps the same input, and we want that input. And then I'm going to paste it 2 more times. I'm taking up a lot of space. So now we have the same exact piece copied 4 times. But we want to change some stuff so that we're affecting all 4 directions. So so we already did positive x-axis, so let's do the positive y-axis here. So we're going to pass, I got rid of, on this vector 2 for the second one, I got rid of the input for the x-axis, I just moved it over to the y. So you can click these lines, and you can hit your delete key, and then that removes them. You can also just kind of drag over it and then delete it as well. And then you can drag from this node and plug it into y. So now we have positive y and positive x offset, and it's being fed into here. And we'll have to add these up together later. So we'll disconnect that for now, but we won't show kind of what's going on here because it's kind of the same thing as we already saw. But all right, so now for these 2 directions, I'm just going to delete these. We need the negative things. So we can bring out, so if we want to negate, so our values are 0 to, like, it's like our blur offset's a positive value. So if we want to negate it, we can bring out a multiply here. I think there's also a negate node, but I'm just going to use multiply because it's a little more, I think it's more straightforward. So you see in this B, the second input, this is just multiplying A by B. We're putting -1, and then we're going to throw in this blur offset for A. So you see blur offset is sent there, and then now you guys can probably guess, we plug this one into X, plug this one into Y. So now we have 4 pretty much identical pieces, one for positive X, positive Y, negative X, and negative Y. So now we kind of are able to offset all 4 axes. But now we need to basically kind of combine them and then send them to the output. So basically to combine them, pretty simple. We're just going to add them all together. So it's kind of annoying, but basically just drag all of these outputs to some add nodes. So I'm going to create one add node there, create another add node there. So now we're adding the top 2 and the bottom 2 together. And then we need to create trying to get rid of that. Then we need to create another add node to combine these 2. Okay. Now we kind of want to, I guess you could say, like, normalize things. So because we added all 4 of those together, if we divide by 4, we kind of get like an average. So I'm going to create a new divide node, pass in here, and then because we're passing in a vec4, it's going to a vector 4. Don't worry too much about it. It's just 4 values. We're going to set all of these to the value 4. That was a little confusing. 2 different 4s, but because we added 4 things together, I guess you could say, we're going to divide by 4 for everything. And then let's see what that looks like. We're not quite done yet, but we should have a sort of a blur, but not that color shift thing. So if I let me make this, yeah. And actually, you guys don't have to do this because it'll end up being a little too crazy. I'm gonna make this 1 so that we can kind of see it, the max of blur offset 1, so we can kind of see it a little bit better. So yeah, so you see how we're kind of shifting the UVs in all 4 directions and then dividing. That's why they're not as bright. If we didn't divide, it would just be a lot brighter, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, you can kind of see if you have a sort of a small value, you get like a kind of cool blur. Pretty simple to implement. So we're gonna leave it at that value, I guess. So you got a little slight blur there. Cool. Now we're done with the blur. So yeah.
My screen is still gray. How do you change that?
Did you connect it? Let me pull this up.
Yeah, I probably didn't.
Connect it to base color here.
I did. I'm not sure that the materials.
Make sure.
Oh wait.
It's showing like much like lines, but I don't know.
Lines. What's your blur offset set to? In the inspector. Yeah, are you getting something like this? Right. I'm guessing you were getting something like this. Yeah, because it was really stretched, and because we're not using like tileable stuff, I guess. I guess the blitz source isn't tileable. I don't know if you can change that. It just repeats. I guess that's repeating. I don't know if that's what it's called, but oh, that's super blurred. We'll save it to that. All right. So next thing we want to do is do that like sort of CRT color the thing. There's a word for it, but honestly not technically sure what it's called. But basically, we're gonna multiply the positive x and positive and negative. Well, doesn't. Yeah, we'll multiply the positive x offset or colors by red, and then we'll multiply the negative x by blue. So I'll show you guys what this looks. It's pretty simple, but so in this first set of nodes, we're gonna create a new multiply, and then we're gonna create a color. So if you just type color, basic color, you just get this little color thing. We're gonna set this to, so it's nice if you can get this like set the RGB from 0 to 1, and then we're just gonna click 1 there, and just fully red. And then this mode should be, we don't want HDR. And then we're just gonna multiply the color of the sample buffer by red. So that'll become, things on this offset will become a little bit more red. And then we're going to delete this original line that we had from there and move our new line, our new output. So then we're gonna do the same thing for, similar thing, I guess. I'm gonna move these down a little bit. Similar thing for the negative x. We're only just doing it on horizontal. It just looks a little bit better that way. It'll look too busy and not the right effect if we do it on all 4 directions. So again, same thing, but we're going to use a new color. We're going to use blue. I'm going to set blue. Multiply it by our sample buffer, and then redirect this to the where we originally had it. So we're moving it, basically just we're moving these through these 2 nodes and then, or through this node and then here. So now if we go back here, oh, you'll see the color sort of changed. But now you see on my right and left how they're much more blue and red. If you guys look at kind of like how a CRT TV, I guess, looks, you'll see these sort of distinctions. And I think with all the colors on the screen, it's not as like noticeable since there's so many colors on this scene. But in like more either grayscale or like less vibrant colors, you'll see the effect a little bit better. But that's just you know, just a little effect that'll add to it. Okay. Oh, and then the next thing we're gonna do is kind of like add our little bloom effect. So I'm just removing that. So remember our last divide node that we had, that was kind of our final output. We're gonna quickly just multiply our color by what we had there. Oh, not the color that the color input. This guy. And then we're gonna feed that back in. And oh, I forgot to mention this color. So if, this is important. In because yeah, I'm gonna make sure I did. Yeah. So in our graph inspector, we want to set this. You see where it says mode? We want to set this color to HDR. That's high dynamic range. That basically like, you just think of it. It basically like makes things glow. I don't know. That's like the easiest way to. There's it's really technical if you want to get into it, but it'll make things glow for this case. And then default value, I'm just gonna set to white. But in Unity terms, what you can kind of do is you have this intensity bar here, and it'll just essentially make things, I guess, brighter, you could say. There's probably a more accurate way of describing it, but we'll mess with that. You guys can mess with that later, but we'll mess with that in a second. But connect that back up. Go here. What? Why is it black? Did I mess up something? I'm guessing it's actually, I'm guessing I just oh, it's because this is black. Oops. So now if we just increase this intensity, it's getting a little bit brighter. And I mean, like, why do this? You'll see when we add the scan lines, things get a little darker because there's a lot more just pure black on our screen. So this will kind of compensate for that. So I'm gonna just leave it at intensity like 1.53. I don't know. You can mess with these values on your own. That's a little bit of, I guess you could call bloom sort of effect. So next thing we need to do is our scan lines, right? That's like the biggest part of this. We want cool scan lines. So we're gonna be using these two things, scanline speed. Yeah, what's up?
Go back to where you're changing right now, supply on my screen. And another thing, for some reason my blur line is now changing to a slider.
So make sure you save your shader, but if you click on your the variable and you have it set to slider? Yeah. Oh. There's no like compilation errors or anything? Might need to look at that, but I mean, it's more of a like kind of a user experience thing. It's not like, it doesn't change anything. Yeah, that's weird. I'd have to look. I can look at that later. What was the first thing? Oh yeah, what's up?
Zoom out for a second. I need to like double check and cross reference something to make sure I'm good on something.
Sure. Good. All right, so we're almost done. This is the last step. So we're doing the scan lines. So we want our scan line. So this is our scan line speed. We want our scan lines to move with time. So we're gonna create, also to like make these new nodes, I'm just pressing space. A lot of programs do that. So type in time. We're gonna be using just this time one up here. So that's how we get the time. We're gonna multiply it by our speed. Pretty self-explanatory. And then I'm gonna bring out a new vector2 node, and we only want the scan lines to move on one axis, and we're gonna choose the Y. That's just because we don't want, I mean, you can change it if you want, but we kind of just want it to scroll from top to bottom or bottom to top. So next thing we want to do is we're gonna be sampling this checkerboard. So this is just kind of a cheat I found this online, but to kind of like create scan lines. A lot of people use textures. You can use textures. This is just a faster way since we don't have to like import textures. So this frequency thing, set the x to 0, so you get these two lines, and then this y. Oh, look at that, we got lines. So you can just basically increase this value, and that's how we'll create our scan lines. Also set these colors. I don't know why they're not like just full black, full white, but set these colors to like full black and full white. And then, but now we want to be able to influence this. So we have this UV thing here, input. We can change that, kind of how we did for previous things. So we're gonna bring on a new tiling and offset node. Bring that into here. But then we're gonna be changing the offset because we want this to scroll up, like move. So we're gonna basically be updating the offset with time. And I guess you don't see it. Oh, that's right. Let me make sure I'm doing everything right. Also, so yeah, set this to 0. Actually, this is where we're going to be dealing. So instead of basically setting this to 0, we set this to 0. You can do both. It's the same thing, essentially. In either place, we're ignoring the x-axis. Or yeah. So we want to set frequency based on like our number of. I think something's not working. Oh, right. I forgot to set this value. It's 0. I was really confused. So where did I set it? Right. So we can make this one a slider as well if it works. This default value I'm gonna make. These are just numbers. Don't worry about them too much. But 0.05 for the default. We're gonna use negative 0.1, and then for the min, and then 0.1 for the max. And that'll just let us go either positive or negative. Yeah, don't worry too much about those. But see, yeah. So yeah, now we see here things are moving. So these are the values. All right. So yeah, we have kind of like a little scanline thing here going. But we want to change this based on our input. So we'll bring out the scan lines. Did I use the proper one here? Scanline speed. Yeah. So we'll bring out the scan lines input. And we want to take only the again, we want this to say 0. Actually, I mean, it shouldn't matter, but we're going to do it anyways. So we're going to pass this into the Y and then pass this into frequency. And now, obviously, it goes white because this is 0. So again, more default values we're going to set here. I'm not going to use a slider for this. I'm going to set this to 200. Also, something here. Actually, we are going to change the mode. I want it to be an integer. This is more of a preference, personal preference, but it doesn't make sense to have like 200.1 scan lines. You can only have like a whole number of scan lines. I mean, I guess technically you have more. Don't worry, it looks kind of weird here. It'll look better on the screen. All right, so now we have our scan lines. That's the scan lines. Now we just kind of have to incorporate it into our original like color that we're calculating over here. I'm gonna move this, just moving this over for like a personal preference. And to combine these two, we're just gonna multiply them. This is a white and black, so it's essentially serving as a mask. So multiply should be good for that. Boom. And then that's our last multiply node, and we'll pass that back into the base color. Save it. Back to game. And I don't know if it's working. Oh, it's set to 0. Okay. Yeah, these are set to 0. So let me set this to 200. You know, just because the screens are small, I'm gonna set it to a lesser number, or they're far away from you. we'll set it. That's good. You guys can see that. And then we increase this, and they move, sort of. Well, okay, they move if I press play. So if I press play, now we'll see the CRT TV, and that is it. That's the CRT. Pretty cool. So we have the fish lens sort of thing. The scan lines, they're moving down. We have the blur. Pretty cool, I think. So yeah, that's the main thing. You guys can really change this a lot. There's a lot of really good fundamentals. So manipulating UVs, we did a lot of that. For the blurring, using time to animate is also another thing we did. So that should help you guys be a little bit better with ShaderGraph.